Nova Scotia is home to some of the most diverse forested landscapes in North America. The Acadian forest provides humans with consumables ranging from the tangible to the spiritual. From stump to storefront to forest bathing in conservation areas, for centuries, these forests have been an integral part to shaping the communities and world in which we live. This video will identify the three main approaches to managing forests and how these different methods can affect the landscape's biodiversity, the climate, and ecosystem health, and how they serve local and global consumer markets. What is forest management? Forest management is the development and execution of a plan integrating all of the principles, practices, and techniques necessary to either benefit humans, the natural landscapes, or both. The three main approaches are protection of forest lands, high production or industrial forestry, and active management, sometimes called ecological or low-impact forestry. Each approach has many nuances depending on the ecosystem and management goals. A general overview of each in the context of the Acadian mixedwood forest landscape follows. The most common form of preserving a forest ecosystem is to set the land aside and protect it from all industrial forestry activities. Parks and conservation areas, for example, are managed for protection. There is minimal human intervention and little to no harvesting. Since these forests are not managed by humans, tree mortality is driven by natural processes such as wildfires and old age. Protected forests provide many social and cultural values. They can serve as educational platforms and places of study or worship. They support hunting and recreation, and they cater to the tourism industry, one of the biggest contributors to Nova Scotia's economy. Protected forests also serve an important ecological role, providing habitat for wildlife, including vulnerable plant and animal species, protection of waterways, and maintenance of biodiversity. Increasing protection of forested lands is also seen by many as a way to maintain carbon stocks. While there are some instances of carbon storage through protection, too much of one thing can lead to the opposite. Leaving a forest alone can negatively affect the growth and carbon uptake of forest stands and may leave them vulnerable to natural tree death, resulting in more emissions. These natural tree deaths mean that some trees are not able to become long-term carbon storing products like dimensional lumber for houses. The most common forest management approach across Canada is high production forestry. Here, forest stands are most often even-aged and are harvested all at once using clear-cutting or overstory removals. The cutover may be seeded, planted, or left to regenerate naturally. There often is little intervention until 60 to 80 years after the regeneration process. High production forests are managed by humans for economic benefit and consumer demands. The highly mechanized and efficient harvest methods mean that high volumes of wood are produced at a relatively low cost, keeping prices affordable for consumers. However, these practices come at a cost of habitat degradation, decreased biodiversity, and reduced soil and water quality as a result of chemical herbicide application. High production forest management systems particularly make sense in ecosystems such as the boreal forest, where clear cutting mimics large disturbances that would drive natural regeneration processes. In forest landscapes with a diverse mix of tree species and ages, careful forest stewardship can provide a sustainable supply of timber and other ecosystem services, while also restoring ecosystem functions and connectivity across the forested landscape. Active management involves a series of more frequent interventions, creating multiple aged forest structures that cater to human economic benefit as well as forest and climate health. Forests can be actively managed for multiple benefits, from boosting the structural complexity that provides good habitat to improving tree growth through selective stand improvement silviculture. By selectively removing trees to promote the growth of others, suppressed shaded trees have access to increased light and nutrients, resulting in a desirable mix of both tree species and age class. These partial removals can also allow forests to be more accessible for recreational activities like hiking or camping. This type of forestry is more labor and cost intensive, and therefore it is key to have diverse local markets for all trees that are removed from the forest, including those that are of smaller or lower quality. Ac4 is one company that actively manages Acadian forests, and they brought us into the woods to show us what active forest management looks like in practice.
We managed this forest 5 years ago. So what was here before was more mature forest, but there was a lot of undesirable trees in the canopy. So the goal is to remove those undesirable trees to give space to the good growing stock to grow bigger, healthier, and faster.
In a lot of our treatments like this, we've seen an exceptional increment growth increase. So almost 200%, the trees will almost grow 200% quicker than had they been closed in.
So a good advantage in our system, it's more distributed revenue for the woodlot owner over many years. So that's a huge advantage. And also we're always increasing the living value of the forest. There's always like more quality once we're done than beforehand. Sometimes it's very challenging to make those like small stems and to like thin those small stem stands. But if you have a local wood energy market, you have a home for that wood. So it helps with the profitability for the job, but also enhances the quality of the forest at the same time.
Active forest management is less invasive compared to high production forestry. It's an approach that aims to create healthy forests while also obtaining economic benefit. It is important to note that forest-dictated forestry only makes sense economically if local wood markets are available for the type of wood you are removing. The reasons for choosing a particular forest practice are complex and often connected to greater economic and social cultural systems. For more information on the 3 forest management practices covered in this video, please visit aforeststory.ca.